significance of good youth services on our young people's development cannot be understated. They provide essential building blocks for a full and rewarding life, a safe place, acceptance, guidance, friendship, physical and mental health support, academic support and employment skills. Youth services set young people up for a healthy, happy and confident life as part of communities across Britain, acting as an indispensable component of our national infrastructure. And of course, I've seen this firsthand in my constituency of Luton South, and I want to say a huge thank you to everyone in Luton supporting our young people. You're a credit to our town and play such an important part in giving the best start in life for our young people. Luton Council do an excellent job working with our voluntary and community sector to ensure all young people enjoy their lives and reach their full potential. And whether it's the Scouts, the Guides, Tocco Youth Centre, CYCD, Next Generation Youth Theatre, Youthscape, various cadets or sports clubs and our excellent music service, our young people have a variety of activities they can get involved in. This support and meaningful activities for young people has arguably never been needed more. With challenges such as loneliness and societal pressures stemming from the global health pandemic, the cost of living crisis, making it harder for our young people to get on. In some cases, it's ensuring a young person is guided away from being drawn into gangs or other negative activities. However, more often than not, it's about nurturing the confidence, resilience and skills of our young people. The benefits of well-resourced youth services are obvious for all to see. But rather than just reel off stats and facts, I want to use this opportunity to amplify our young people's voices. So here are some testimonies of young people as given to the YMCA about the importance of youth services. Sam, 16, said, "I wasn't keen on the idea of attending a youth club at first. It was quite out of my comfort zone. But since I started attending, I've grown in confidence and have begun speaking to people more often. Attending YMCA has made a real difference in my life." Rachel, 16, told YMCA, "It was around a year ago that I started to struggle with anxiety and depression, and at first I did nothing. My older sister was already attending the youth club at YMCA and invited me along. I love it here. I feel very safe and supported in the company of youth workers. They are very caring and always sit and talk with me when I feel upset or need to cry. Without YMCA, my mental health would be way worse as I would have no one to talk to and nothing to do." And Idris, also 16, said, "I suffer from anxiety and anger issues. I tried to battle it alone, but it didn't work. A friend suggested I come to YMCA. I always have fun when I attend YMCA and it makes me feel really happy. It's helped me as I can take positive memories away from my time here, and when I'm feeling low, I can remember that I have Monday's Youth Club to look forward to." So there's no better testimony than that from those who actually use the services and are reaping the benefit. Unfortunately, today's debate is not just an opportunity to sing the praises of our wonderful youth services. It's also to recognise the reality of a severely underfunded, under-supported sector which has been deprioritised by the Conservatives. After 14 years of the Conservatives cutting funding, local authorities are struggling under substantial weight of funding pressures, and youth services are often one of the first services to be cut. Councils and councillors want to deliver high-quality services for young people, but the Conservatives have given them no choice. A case in point, in my local council, Luton, it's had £170 million cut from its budget since 2010. And the Local Government Association has stated that councils in England face a funding gap of £4 billion over the next 2 years just to keep services standing still. Significant budget pressures mean there are few options available to maintain high-quality youth services. We know that children's social care is a sizable pressure on local authorities' finances, so general, more universal services for young people are compromised so that limited resources can be targeted to ensure young people most in need can be kept safe and supported. It's a difficult decision for councillors of all party colours to make, but the government are ultimately responsible due to imposing such swingeing cuts on local government finances. It's in this context that during the Conservatives' time in office, youth organisations have fought to keep delivering great youth work amidst a £1.1 billion real terms cut in spending by local authorities on youth services. If I may at this point, just like to thank the YMCA and the National Youth Agency for their support in preparation for this debate. The YMCA's On the Ropes report found that drastic underfunding means that spending per head on youth services in England has suffered a real terms cut of 75% since 2010-2011, meaning it sits at £48 per head per 5 to 17-year-old. Even though cuts have been significant across the board, there are clear regional funding inequalities. In 2022-23, the lowest spend per young person was in the West Midlands at £24, followed by the East of England at £38 and similarly the South East at £38, whereas in London it's £69 and Yorkshire and the Humber £71. And if I turn specifically to my constituency of Luton South, I'm also concerned about the funding cut since the Conservatives took power. In Luton, the YMCA has found that real-term spending on youth services has been cut by 73%, with spend per young person sitting at £34.60. And in the central Bedfordshire part of my constituency, spending per head for young people is £25.17, a 53% spending cut. And while passionate youth workers continue to battle to deliver high-quality support, many have had to leave the profession, as we've seen a 35% reduction in full-time equivalent youth workers employed by local authorities in England over the same period. This shouldn't have to be said, but all children, irrespective of background or geography, deserve high-quality youth services to support their development. After 14 years of the Conservatives, the reality is youth services are at breaking point, and too many young people have no access to youth services at all. Our voluntary and community sector has brilliantly stepped up to fill the gap left by the Conservative government cuts, but this isn't a long-term solution. Similarly, the physical and mental health support previously offered under youth services has been shifted onto schools and overworked, under-resourced teachers. Schools have their own pressures. According to the National Education Union's research, in Luton South alone, per pupil funding has been cut by £751 since the Conservatives took power. That's over £14 million stripped from our school system. The case for greater resources for youth services is compelling. Youth work has proven positive impacts on improving young people's mental health and well-being, behaviour, engagement with education and attainment. And youth workers achieve life-changing outcomes for young people through both intervention and prevention, building voluntary, trusted and educative relationships with the young people they support. And if it's an economic case for youth services, the Minister needs to hear, for every £1 the government invests in youth work, the benefit to the taxpayer is between £3.20 and £6.40. And youth work saves £500 million annually by preventing incidences of antisocial behaviour, knife crime and other associated criminal justice costs, according to the UK Youth and Frontier Economics. I want to preempt the Minister's response maybe too. I know he will point to the government funding directed at specific youth club buildings. And as welcome as any capital funding is, there is a pressing need for additional support for training and sustaining well-qualified youth workers. There is an absence of a coordinated strategy across government departments, leading to fragmented and insufficient funding for targeted youth services. So the YMCA has set out the following recommendations to support youth services. They say, a sustained and long-term revenue funded to bolster universal and open access youth services catering to all young people throughout the year. A cross-departmental strategy for youth services fostering a long-term vision for nationwide provision. Enforcing a duty on local authorities to ensure that all young people can access youth services in their respective areas with necessary government support and resourcing. And so I'd appreciate the Minister responding to each of those recommendations in his closing remarks. I want the impact of this debate to be that the Minister, his officials and other government departments reflect on the true value of our youth services. And I don't doubt the government recognises the good they do in our community, but I ask that additional actions be taken to ensure they receive the support they desperately need. So will the Minister outline what recent discussions he's had with colleagues in the Department for Levelling Up, Housing and Communities, Department for Education and the Department for Home Affairs about long-term resources for youth services? Will he also outline what steps the government is taking to increase the number of full-time equivalent youth workers across the UK to ensure all young people receive the support they deserve? Labour recognises the need for a long-term, coordinated approach to revitalise the delivery of youth services. And at our last party conference, we announced a 10-year programme to bring together services and communities to support young people, delivering new youth mentors and mental health hubs in every community, youth workers in pupil referral units and A&E, and a programme of public sector reform to help deliver this. Communities will come together to transform lives of children, giving them the best possible start in life. So will the Minister explain why the Government hasn't implemented such a scheme during its 14 years in tenure? And as I close, I look forward to hearing the contributions of members from across the House. Together, we must continue to call for government action that ensures young people in our constituencies get the best possible start in life. And that means supporting our local youth services and youth workers.